we go.
You live.
Man, how are things?
What is up, my man? We are
Uh,
now officially ready to go, brother.
yes, sir. We got two in here so far.
Awesome, man.
I figured I'd go ahead and let maybe two more pop in. Let's sit here and shoot the breeze for a couple minutes before we get started.
There you go. Would you
But,
what you get into today, man?
oh, just been playing Xbox with my dudes, watching a little bit of Most Evil, getting ready for this because I got the same collection you got.
I got you, man. I was doing like I said, I was doing a freshen up too, man. I had to watch that confession video one more time. Man. It's just kind of, get it amped back up and be like, wow, man, like the person we're about to cover tonight, man, has to definitely. Oh man, out of the big five, I would probably because there's the big five that we could definitely say off the top of our head, but he's
Uh,
definitely. Woo, I would definitely say he's probably the granddaddy of them. I mean, hands down.
oh
So,
yeah, we had to start with a banger, man. We had to start with a banger. Um,
absolutely.
for for those of you who don't know, this is my first actual live stream on my channel. Um, this is the start of Serial Killer Wednesdays, and our first topic is going to be none other than Dennis Rader, BTK. Drop off this intro and get started. Oh, intro. Cause I'm sick of standing up beside it going south. I'm sick of never being able to cross the line. I'm sick of pretending everything is fine. You got it, you're just a fucking freak like me. Burning inside, but I am alive. I'm not the one that you used to know. I've always hated to act like the others. I found my way to. Tears are fading, won't stop bleeding. Fears are fading. Cause I'm sick of standing up instead of going down. I'm sick of never being able to cross the line. I'm sick of pretending everything is fine. You got it, you're just a fucking freak like me.
Awesome, man. Awesome.
All right, so Dennis Rader, BTK. Is there anything you want to say about him before we begin?
You know what, man? Before we hop right into it and everything, especially, just covering all the angles and plus the case and everything, I want to give you a huge shout out, man, and say thank you so much, man, for inviting me to do this with you tonight. As soon as you asked me last night, I was like, I'm your guy for this, man. Like, we're gonna have a lot of fun with this right here, man. So, and before we get into this, because we have to say this because somebody's gonna take this the wrong way in some way, shape, or form.
Right.
We do not condone the acts of what these people have done, but I would definitely say it's probably a good thing that we learn that what did happen in history, so maybe you wouldn't become the next victim, or you know what to kind of look for.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah, man. Thank you so much, though, man, brother. It means more than anything to me, man, that you invited me to do this, and I was like, heck yeah, man, like we're gonna have some fun.
Oh, no problems, bud. Hey, man. Hey, man. You were the first person I thought of when I thought about doing this. You and Gore. So,
Awesome, man.
but a BTK started in '74, and he killed 10 people in a 20-year spree between '74 and '91. He described himself as a good person who did some bad things, was a church leader, and a family man. How do you feel about that? About him saying that right there?
Dude, I mean, that is right there what you call a killer in disguise right there. He's hiding in plain sight. You know what I mean? He did it so good for so long. And not to mention, we're going to get to it, but all the messages that he relayed back and forth to the police department in Wichita. You know what I mean? Like, he was constantly just, I think he even, what was it? They even said, like, he purposely tried to make himself appear uneducated in the letters that he made because he would make like spelling errors and different punctuations and stuff like that. That was just, of course, you could look at it for anybody who was judging it to be like, wait a minute, like this guy is definitely not a high school graduate. And it turns out like this guy was like an extreme member of society. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's actually pretty
very smart person actually, and the way he did that was just believably just smart. Like the way he did it, and like in one letter he believed all those punctuation mistakes and the misspellings, but in the next letter he'd send, it'd be beautiful. It would look like a poem writer wrote what he wrote.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. He definitely had a form of trickery, man, that he had already planned and mastered. I think before he even started really, I remember watching his confession video, and the way he kind of describes it is he's trying to explain to the judge. He's like, man, there's so many different factions of a serial killer. Like we have different stages we have to go by. And, that whole kind of like, being on the prowl for your next victim, you have basically like the following stage, then it turns into full blown stalking. And then within an amount of time whether you got a potential victim that's going to be a success for that project you have lined up. So he was very calculated, for sure.
Very much. Hello, Zoli. Thank you for coming. Zoli says hello. I think it's creepy. They look like somebody's dad or grandfather.
Absolutely. He does too. He just looks like there's a few pictures of him being incarcerated that he looks pretty demonic and evil, but for like the previous photos that he had before his capture, he just looked like anybody's uncle, pretty much.
Um, he started out with Julie and Joseph Ortero on January 15th of 74, which I found interesting. With most of his victims, he either strangled or suffocated them.
So,
And as far as I know, there was only one victim that he stabbed.
well, he also shot two times with a 22 caliber pistol as well.
You are right. You are right. Yeah, he suffocated Joseph and strangled Julie, and he also hanged their 11-year-old daughter, Josephine, and suffocated Joseph Jr., age 9. That's just wicked, bro. Like, just
Yeah,
the whole of just suffocation is just, to a claustrophobic person, that is like your worst nightmare.
yep. And just to think of it too, because as far as the outline goes, especially for dates, like you said, that was 1974. We all know that he had a daughter who, of course, just published a book. Not even that long ago. But I was kind of curious about when she was born, because if he was already a family man, he was a person who already had a child, and he was killing somebody else's children. You would think that would be like, I don't know, even if he was a serial killer, it'd kind of be like taboo to him. But I guess, I don't know, man. Just depends on whether his daughter was born at that point or not.
Yeah, his daughter published it in 2019 called My Story of Faith, Love, and Overcoming. Daughter is a Carrie Rawson, and he also had a son, which I couldn't find his name anywhere I looked, but yeah, his daughter published that book. I actually read that book a couple years back, and it 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 had a lot of enlightenings to it, a lot of who he really was before he started killing and after he started killing, how his demeanor changed, how things went down. Like I guess he described it in detail to his wife after the fact of after he was caught and everything.
Yeah, man. That I just literally learned that that she had actually got that book deal and she actually published it. That's awesome that you already read it and everything. If you had to kind of rank that book, like 1 to 5 stars, what would you probably give it?
Um, for just a book in general, I would give it a good 3.5. But for a serial killer documentary type book, I give it a solid 4.
Nice. Okay. Hey, thanks for breaking it down like that too, man. Especially because we all know too, man. We got to take into account from her perspective. She was completely in the dark while this was going on. It was only until he was being trialed for his, for all the evil that he had done. Then she learned of what kind of caliber of wicked father that she actually had in the first place. So I think she said she was in her 20s and just had become married at that point whenever he was being charged with all those murders.
Mm-hmm. His first 4 victims was a family of 4, which we just went over. He then almost waited 3 months. So this guy's got patience compared to a lot of other ones.
Yep.
He waited 3 months before moving to his next victim, whom was the only victim to be stabbed, Catherine Bright of 21. He stabbed her 3 times. That is just nuts right there. Like, just like I read where like the Manson family stabbed their victims, what, like 30 something times.
Yep.
I'm just like, dude, which guys, I'm going to be covering the Manson family soon. So be ready for that one.
Nice, man. Nice. We definitely got to, if you go to do it, man, you got to put like your own little section just for Sadie in there too, man. I would say, I think she was like, Sadie in text was like, I don't want to veer off the subject, man. You're going to get me going, man.
Well, seeing how you on the Manson family, I've got to make it a day that you can hop on too.
Absolutely, man. I think we both, me and you both have like definitely like a big, just a cesspool brain of just like all this knowledge of being just like, hey, like, we definitely don't condone what they did, but you can't look away from it once you find out about it. I mean,
Right?
I'm sure even like when you were a kid, just like myself, like whenever you heard of like these people or these horrible acts, like, like John Wayne Gacy, for example, like, wait a minute, how many boys did he have up under his basement? Holy shit. Like, you can't turn away from that. You know?
How do you live with the smell of that? Because I had a dead, it was either a dead cat or a dead squirrel or something underneath the trailer, and just within a couple of days, it was unbearable, and that was just a cat or a squirrel. So imagine like 30 to 40 bodies underneath your house, man.
It's just the most grotesque thing you could think of, too, man. Well, I mean, of course, man, especially with different serial killers, man. Like, let's say BTK, for example, right there. Like, I'm sitting there and I'm listening to, like you said, man. Like, I agree with this too. Like, he was disciplined. He had precision. He would not pick his next victim just because he had to hurry up and live out this sexual fantasy, and he wasn't disciplined by no means. But if you listen to him talk during that confession, he will admit to the judge several times that he had a hard time in multiple cases where he could not get a hold of the situation at hand. Whether he would not bring the right supplies for bondage. So one of his male victims actually broke free to try to get away from him. That's when he pulled out the 22 caliber pistol and shot him. Of course, he had a 357 Magnum in his holster up under his armpit. Didn't use that, of course, because it makes too much noise. So he used the 22. But we all know, come on, you shoot somebody in the head with a 22, there is a percentage likely that you're not going to kill him. So you're going to have to probably shoot him again. And that's exactly what he did. And the guy still lived and ran out the front door. So, yeah, there was definitely some moments where he had a hard time getting a hold of the situation, which, I mean, who knows, man? Maybe I'm sure at a moment like that, man, I'm sure his nerves was just jacked all the way up. Not to mention just the fear in that room that's probably being, that's bouncing, off of his victims to him too. I'm sure that was the highlight for him. So he probably wanted to live in that moment and be infatuated as much as he could, but things were just getting away from him. But hey, man, come on, he did a reign of terror for like over 20 something years, man. So
yeah, from like 74 to 91, that's 17 years.
Yeah, man. And we're gonna get to it, but because I know that moment when we finally do get to it, it's like, well, wait a minute. Like, after that reign of terror for that long, what was it that actually got him caught? And it's like, would you believe it? It was a damn floppy disk.
Yeah, floppy disk, bro. The floppy disk guy.
even wrote a letter to the police department asking them, was it any way possible they could trace a floppy disk from a hard drive? And of course, they told him no.
Oh, of course we're not supposed to know. Why would you even ask them?
Oh, Jesus, man. But
I mean,
I think.
I mean, that's what got the man called.
Yep, exactly. I'm sure you gotta probably have it somewhere inside of you too, where you think like, surely, man, like, we know his intelligence.
Right.
There's no way just took their word for it. Do you think he actually just did it on purpose just to see himself get caught? But then I don't know, man. He ran for so long though, too, and there were even so many murders out of those 10 right there. They wouldn't even linking that to the BTK because they figured he was either disabled, he had moved out of Wichita for number one, and stuff like that. So I think he was probably taking it as a personal disgrace that, hey, like I did this work and I'm not even getting any article. My name's not even in the newspaper. They're not even using my pronoun name pretty much. So I don't know, man.
Yeah, they're not using his moniker, and he wants the clout, man. He wants the clout off of that.
Thank you. Yep, exactly. 100%, man. I mean, we kind of saw that in similar situations with other serial killers too. Like they wanted publicity for what they had done. They believed that they had done a job that they should be pretty much compensated publicly for. So,
right. Yeah, it's just amazing, man. Like, however, like just circumstantial. Like, if I were to go out and be a serial killer, I wouldn't want no one to know that I was doing the business because I don't want to get caught. I don't like prison. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah, but prison's not no. After watching all these different prison documentaries and to be honest, Scared Straights and all that, it's just like nah.
No, thank you. I'll just stay at home, sir.
A dentist then waited another 3 years for his next victim, Shirley Vian, 24, like his first victims. On March 17th, 1977, he strangled with a rope.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at his history, he either strangles somebody with a belt, rope his hands, or suffocates them. I mean, that is like his way of doing things. It's quiet.
It's very, very personal. Like you have to be hands on. That's a very a personal attack right there for sure.
Yeah, you have to be personal when strangling somebody. I mean, shooting somebody, that's quick, but it's loud. Stabbing, there's a lot of blood trace evidence that's hard to get rid of. I mean, when you strangle or suffocate somebody, you're at tops, you're going to get a little bit of a nosebleed out of them or some eye bleeding or something, you know?
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah, absolutely. You can admit too, man, like a gun too, man. Whenever a gun, I mean, he did admit that, I mean, the way he would kind of dominate the situation and gain power over getting in these people's homes, especially when he wasn't, doing the whole cat burgling thing, tactic to get inside their home, he used a gun, if not two in some cases, with a 22 caliber and a 357 Magnum. He was using those as tools and instruments to dominate the situation where he wouldn't get like so much resistance, but he barely ever used them. You know what I mean? Like, just say like, he pretty much ditched killing them with a firearm. He went straight for strangling. Like, yeah, I mean, come on, he was an arm use of his victim at all times doing that. You know what I mean? That's very personal.
Yeah, I mean, you use the gun to get control of the situation, then you get them all tied up. There's no use for that gun no more, really.
Exactly.
Unless it's free, then you got to cap somebody. But other than that, you got control after that.
Yep.
Yeah, gun the tool of dominance at that point. 9 months later, on December 8th, 1977, Dennis strangled Nancy Fox with a belt, age 25. I mean, just overall that. I mean, it's just, we've gone through 7 victims, and it's just, wow. I mean, and I don't remember who his youngest non-child victim was, but I do believe his youngest victim was what, 19, 20?
I'm trying to think of the exact age of the 2 children that he was tried for. I believe, man, for the children, they were definitely under the age of 18 because 2 of them was the Arturo. Is it Arturo? I'm probably pronouncing that name wrong. It was his first.
Yeah, it was his
pretty much his first
4.
bank.
They were age 9 and 11.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. I was just trying to figure out what his non-child victim would have been. What one would have been the youngest at that point?
Gotcha.
I do believe his oldest was like 62.
Yeah. And if I'm not mistaken, wasn't that the victim that he picked? He kind of did this random thing too, where he changed it up a little bit. Like he actually took her to the church that he was actually a part of, and he actually took photos of her that while he had her bound and everything
Mhm.
else. And I know, like for 2 victims, including hers, he was actually like not leaving them at a crime scene. He was pretty much dumping them like under an underpass or
Yeah.
or something like of that magnitude. But that was definitely like his oldest one for sure. That was senior citizen age right there for sure.
Yeah, he took pictures of all of his victims to keep his keepsakes, like a lot of serial killers will do.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but I ain't taking pictures of them to keep them. That's just evidence.
I think that's like we could probably take a look at a show, probably something that we're all familiar with, something like Dexter, right? Where he takes the little, he'll take a blood droplet and put it on the blood slide, and he keeps his case above the air conditioner unit. That's what we call he's got to have something to go back to look at, to be proud of, to have like a little trophy room, something
Mhm.
that reminds him of like this time where, like, hey, like I had this trophy right here. Here's my little piece of my evidence right here. A lot of people would not keep that around, like in real life, but keep in mind a lot of these crimes took place in the 70s, and to hear even the victims, like some of the surviving family members of these victims talk, they were like, it was a completely different time. Like it was nothing to like to hitchhike down the road. You could go jump in somebody's car. Everybody was cool. Everybody was just smoking grass, having a few beers, having a good time, and all this other good stuff. And it's like, well, yeah, that's probably that mentality right there that a lot of caught a lot of victims off guard for sure with that mentality like that. So I mean the big five though all took place in that era because of a reason. Everybody kind of had their guard let down because it was a certain time in the world where just to think about that now is obscene, man. I'm sure you lock your door every night before you go to sleep, just like I
Oh,
do.
dude. Lock both the doors before you leave, when you come home, when you go to bed, check them, check the windows, all of that. And these guys are the reason why.
There you go. There you go, man. So if there's anything positive anybody could ever take away from like the evil crimes that these people have done, it's like, hey, man, come on. It's not such a bad thing to look over your shoulder every once in a while and be familiar with your surroundings.
Oh no, I forgot where we were.
But I'm sure you can admit this though, man, too. Like we do, like as a society, there is some very gullible people here in society with us who's like nothing ever bad happened to me. And it's like, yeah, good luck with that.
But if you start thinking that is when you get got.
That's right. That's right, man.
As soon as you think that is when you get got.
You know,
Um, I forgot what victim number we were on. How we doing that? Da-da-da. Aha.
you had a 3 month gap in between the last one.
I just ended up. I do believe we're on victim 8.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah, we're on a victim number 8, Marine Hedge, age 53, on April 27th, 1985. Almost 8 years. The man waited 8 years for that one.
Yep.
Was strangled by Dennis. And victim number 9, Vicky. I'm a girl. I can't pronounce that one. That's interesting.
Let's take a
Age.
moment to really especially in this time period in the 80s, because this is where Dennis was actually working as an ADT security home installer. So like the people who were getting all this stuff, like for their homes to feel way more protected, like they even said, I was watching this little documentary on it. They said the people that were getting this stuff just to feel a little comfort at home, to try to keep people like this away from their home and like protected, was the actual guy who was coming in their home installing this shit. You know what I mean? So he did though.
Yeah,
He worked for ADT for like a number of years. So
yeah,
yeah,
I forgot to write that down, so I'm glad you said something about that. That is how he was getting in a lot of these people's homes, especially
yeah,
right in the 80s. Like I do believe he started that in the late 70s with Shirley Vian. I do believe he started with her in '77 doing that,
gotcha. I
and
think what was it
then
too? He went into the military right after he had pretty much dropped out as well. Because I know he kind of dropped out of the community college he went to, and he went to the Air Force for about 4 years, right?
Yes, he did.
Okay.
I lost it. It was here. He was part of the Air Force and married Paula Dietz in 1971. He married Paula and joined the Air Force all at the same time. Gotta switch the page. All right.
Yeah, go back to your ninth victim right there. That was a 20-year-old, I believe. It was, I'm sorry, in their 20s.
Yes, Vicky. Yeah, the one I couldn't pronounce. Yeah, Vicky Negrell, age 28, was strangled with her own nylon stockings, no less, that she was wearing at the time.
Yeah.
I believe.
You know, during his confession too, for the video, you can see that they've already had like a little bit of. He's doing a really good job of describing like all, you know, because he confessed to everything. But now are they having conflictions about like, hey, like he's telling us about these events that, you know, it all matches up to the crime scene, of course, but his actual street addresses were a little off, and so that was kind of causing a little bit of confliction between both sides, especially for the state prosecutor. I mean,
Right.
the confession, they're bringing that up multiple times. It's like, and the judge even says it multiple times. He's like, look, he's confessed to this. He's got it down to the T. The exact street address is not really a concern to us right now. But another thing too that was pressed was the color of that girl's personal stockings, because he believed that they were somewhat of a decorative kind of piece as a stocking, kind of like what should I say? Not like your traditional sense of a stocking. It was more
Yeah,
like
they were lace.
yeah, it was something like a novelty kind of item. And they were kind of like, well, wait a minute, like, can you kind of tell us the color of them? And he was just like, I can't. Like, you're asking me something that I did years ago, and I'm trying to tell you, like, I remember taking this person's life. I just can't remember exactly what they had on. So it's like, what?
You asked me about something I did 10 years ago, and you're asking me to remember exactly what their stockings look like. I mean, it could have been the white, white stockings with the holes in them and everything, with the flowers on them and everything, or they could have been black with the pink flowers on them. I mean, how in the world am I supposed to remember this?
Exactly. It's man, it's to listen to him too confess, man. I mean, he's going like into great detail too. Like he's actually talking about the kit that he would bring along in a briefcase. He gets to a point where he's admitting that he actually used a pair of handcuffs to subdue one of his victims, and the judge is like, "Wait a minute, did you bring your own handcuffs to this scene? Like, where did you acquire those?" And they're just completely dumbfounded that he had owned a pair of handcuffs. Like, you could buy a pair of handcuffs anywhere, even back in that time. So
Yeah, there are shops for that kind of novelty, you know.
there you go. You can go to Spencer's, man, and get some of those with the fuzzies on it, man, for the kinky stuff that goes on in the bedroom, man.
After dark.
After dark special, baby.
Go to after dark. Get the nice purple ones.
Woo, baby.
Oh boy, them purple ones right there. The purple fuzzies, they all comfortable and everything. Yes, sir.
Get it going now. I'm gonna have to calm down and get back to the BTK situation here, and
Woo, sir.
That's what it's all about, having some fun, boy. We just ran off trail right there real quick.
Hey man, that's what I love about your channel, man, and just you in general, man. You'll just hop on there and you'll just start just shooting the breeze like that, just joking about some stuff like that, man. That's just awesome.
Then you see the comment section of my videos, and people are like, they make medication for people like you, right?
Right? Yeah, but after they see this, they're really going to be talking to you about some stuff. Like, oh no, now Johnny's in. Oh no, now he's talking serial killers with Drake. Oh, hold on a minute.
It's all good, baby. It's all good. Long as we got some at least. I mean, evil. Come on, we're talking about serial killer here. Did the most awful things. In some sense of the word, he's been convicted. He's put away. He's not going to do that no more. There's no possible way he can do any of this evil anymore. We can now sit back and try to at least find a sense of humor, side humor, to the subject. You know what I mean?
Right.
But
that was harsh. But we have reached his final actual victim. on January 19th of 91, we have reached the final kill, being his 10th. Dolores E. Davis, age 62, was strangled with as well her own stockings. Now, I don't know if he remembered what hers looked like or not. I don't know. She might have been wearing the fishnets. We don't know. I mean,
At 62, brother, she wearing fishnets. Man, we got a problem with that area over there he's from.
yo, bro, living in Marion, bro, you will see some things.
Ooh,
You
man.
will see some things. I saw a 72-year-old woman wearing a mini skirt with some white fishnets, bro. Dressing like she 20 years old. It was scary. It was scary.
I don't want to picture that,
But
man. Just next time, keep those
yeah,
thoughts like that to yourself.
yeah, my bad, bro. Instead, I'll start talking about some of Linnea Quigley or some Daniel Harris or something. Help you out a little bit.
There you go. There you go. Take me back to the 80s Scream Queens, man.
Yes. Talk about some Catherine Isabel in here from Sissy Spacek.
Man, look at you go, man. Look at you go, man. You just throwing it. You just dropping bombshell names right there too, man. Oh,
Oh man, I can keep going. I can keep going. I can go down the line on some names. Got some Tippy Hedren.
oh man, you might as well throw in some Brink Stevens in there while you at it.
Oh man. Oh man. Hold on, I'm trying to think of some. We got Catherine McCall, Olivia Hussey.
Olivia Hussey.
Which
Talking about that Black Christmas too, man. I think that was the first movie I ever saw her in. It was probably her first movie she ever done. But remember, she did do Stephen King's It in 1990 as well. She played Bill's wife, Stuttering Bill.
She also did. She also did. I believe it was Psycho 4.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Where
Played
she
Norman Bates'
Norman
brother
Bates'
for the
mother.
prequel. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
man. Look at you go, man. You know it. That's the shit.
Hey man, when it comes down to my favorite actresses, man, I know my stuff.
There you go, man. There you go.
But,
Yeah, man.
but yeah, as far as
10 victims right there on that list you got, man. As you sit there and kind of went through that list, especially with the age on it, and you said it too pretty much. Every one of those deaths, almost every one of them, that was all strangulation right there. I mean, that was like hands on, either with stockings, rope, you name it. Like he was within an arm length of watching his victim take their last breath. Like that was his fatuation right there. Like that's what I think that was like his biggest reward probably to him is what was the whole
yes,
thing too? Like
yeah,
he would actually let them breathe, like and let them come back to life just for a little bit,
mhm,
only to
mhm,
re-strangle them again. Like, oh man, like, dude,
mhm.
how gruesome could you get, man? That's giving somebody like a sliver of hope, and then returning back to just get more satisfaction out of that gruesome act.
Gay. Again, also he would strangle some of his victims almost to the point of death, and it'd be like, "Hey, if you let me rape you, I'll let you go."
Ooh,
And then halfway through raping them, dude, he would finish them off. And he would tell him, he'd be like, "Hey, I'm going to strangle you while I do this," but he would finish them off during the business.
yeah. And just think too,
I mean,
man. Like
that's just
you hear that, man. It's like it'll make you like skin curl up on you, man. Like it's horrible just to even hear it. But I mean, think about all the monsters that's like been hiding in plain sight for so many years, just like him, and who's got away with it up until recently. Let's think for another one, like a really big sexual predator, like Bill Cosby, for example. Like, man, that guy got away his whole life. He's only got a couple years left anyway, man. He's not going to live that much longer. He's already had like a very
right.
successful, rich career. But look at all the stuff that he did behind closed doors
How
when the lights went.
many, right, man, he did that with how many of them? It was like hundreds or something, wasn't it? Over his
I think,
career.
yeah, I mean, of course, the number is pretty staggering. And I mean, nothing's been pretty much, I would say like he's definitely in like the 30s or the 40s as far as being actually found guilty for. But I mean, come on,
Right.
they pretty much turned that over, and now he's a free man again. He's not even locked up or incarcerated right now. He was turned over, and it's like, wow,
Right.
man, I mean,
Right.
you got a lot of money, like Bill Cosby money, and a great attorney, and you're at this time right now where we're in this really weird place for the past couple of years, man, especially with like the race thing that's going on. Maybe that had
Hmm.
something to do with it too. I don't know, man. But man, come on, man. Who performs those horrible acts like that and gets to walk out of jail like that? Man, he didn't serve nothing.
Right, that, and he did that what, 30 years ago. I don't know what the statute of limitation is on that, but that might have had something to do with it too.
Yeah, exactly. But you would think, man, like, okay, well, first of all, murder has no statute of limitations. You could have done that 40 years ago. You get found out today for it with forensics. You're going to get tried for it. Like, you're not just going to fall innocent under statute of limitations. You would think if
Right.
you were drugging women left and right and using your celebrity status to get them in the door and then only to drug them, sedate them, and then do the most horrible sexual acts on them. You would think like there's not form of statute of limitations for that, because I mean, come on, it's like, damn, and that's a horrible act to do to another human being. You know what I mean? But hey, the day and age we
It's
live in,
just
bro. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, like we said before we start this, man, thank God we got guns.
they got guns, and when we don't got a gun, we a couple hillbillies, man. We got bows and knives.
There you go, man.
We got bows
There
and
you
knives,
go.
man. We got. I know how to make a bow out of a stick. I'm good. I can go grab
Hey,
a
man,
branch from the street with a
as
bow.
long
I
as
am good.
you got the means to defend yourself, and plus the ones that you love in your household right there, that's great. If you're just one of those people that's like, well, if I do have a weapon, it's probably going to cause me more harm than good, then you have the worst mentality of anybody I've ever heard of.
Hi, Gretchen. How were
What's up?
things? Yeah, we just finished the countdown of the kills. Um, do you have any other facts that I did not get down?
You know, when I kind of tripped on myself just a little bit there too. Whenever I found out the whole thing that he actually had a career in working for ADT for a good amount of time. Like he actually was from what they kind of broke his I don't know, his job duties there. Like he pretty much went up in that field pretty quickly. So we know he's very successful at that. And like I said, I mean, I'm sure that kind of probably I didn't hear it in his confession for that whole 46 minutes that we get to see that on YouTube, which is still available for anybody to watch. I'm sure you get to see his whole rundown of his complete confession to the judge himself of his acts. And he goes into very descriptive detail too. I mean, to the point where he's talking about after he's already took one of their lives and strangled them, that he did not rape them or perform any sexual acts on them while they were living. It was after they were dead, he was actually standing over them while he was masturbating. And it's like, wow, man, like
Yeah,
you're
it's
talking about sick puppy right there, man.
like, dude. And also something I found out later, like right before we hopped on here, I just looked up some facts. He did keep some of their clothes, I guess, and
Souvenirs.
yeah, and dressed up in their clothes. As a matter of fact,
That's some Ed Gein shit right there, brother. You know what I mean? Like the whole skin suit thing, but he actually used clothes. He wasn't going to commit to go like, I'm not going to, de-skin them and wear it in the middle of the night when the moon comes up and howl at it. No, I just wear their clothes.
yeah, it's like Jerome Brudos when he just take the shoes. He just loved the shoes.
Oh, man, I don't want to go off the subject so much of BTK Killer, but you just have just the inclination just as much as I do, especially when it comes to serial killers. We got to please, no matter what. Ed Gein has to be on that list, man. Like,
Oh yeah, oh yeah. We're gonna go into a deep conversation about Geen.
I mean, just think of the movies too for the inspiration of that. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Alfred Hitchcock Psycho. I mean, it inspires so many films. We got to see Kane Hodder actually play Ed Gein for that film that he had done, which was not a great one, but we all saw it and it was like, hey, at least we got something out of it.
Oh man, I
Just
actually like the Ed Gein movie from the early thousands. Man, that was a great movie.
God, dude, you remember when it came out though? It's kind of like one of those things that went straight to video. Nobody talked about it. Then when finally somebody figured what it was, and it was actually on the market, there was nothing but shit talk for that movie the whole time. And it was like, hey man, like we got something. Like they could have just swept it under the carpet. Kane Hodder himself played that character, and to hear Kane Hodder talk about playing Ed Gein in that movie today, the complications that he had during that production. is worth the story itself for them to actually make that movie. Like the documentary, like the facts that he spits out about the, getting in the costume and kind of prepping himself, because Kane Hodder's all about that particular walk, that stance, the algorithm of somebody. That was a treat itself, man. So
Right?
I'm nerding out, brother. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, good, man. Hey, we are a community of nerds. We're just the cool nerds.
There you go. There you go. But yeah, man, Ed Gein, man, that'd be great too. Look, all the music too. Not to mention, I brought this album up a couple times now, but what was that? The very first Mudvayne record that they ever put out, it was called LD50. They actually, I think, they wrote a song in there called Nothing Gein, and it was basically the singer kind of looking at the first place, kind of like the first place perspective of Ed Gein during that time, dealing with the depression that he was going through from losing his mother. So, but
All
yeah,
right.
that'd be another episode right there.
So yeah, next week I'm going to be doing one with Gore, and we're going to be doing Dahmer. After that, would you like to join me for Gein?
Absolutely, man. Like I said, let's do the bi-weekly thing for me getting to come on because of the work schedule thing, man. So if you're gonna do Dahmer next week, that's great, man. Do your thing, rip through it, and I'll follow you the next Wednesday for the Serial Killer Wednesday for Ed Gein.
Yeah, because so far I had you for BTK, and I'm going to have Gore for Dahmer. Speaking of, what's up, Dad?
What's up,
And then me and you will pop out Gein, and then me and him are going to pop out Monday after that.
Nice, man. Nice. Yeah, you have a good rhythm going there, right, too, especially with the similarities between Dahmer and Bundy too, because there definitely is some similarities, but of course with a definitely different sexual preference for sure. I'm not trying to break it down to that aspect, but yeah, man, those two right here, whew, man, those are
we're definitely going to have to be quite tasteful when it comes down to Dahmer talk.
Yeah, man.
Because the Dahmer can go all kinds of ways.
Hey, and definitely make sure you too, man, like put up that information, especially when it comes to Jeffrey Dahmer. Like there is still tour sites where you can visit the old chocolate factory he actually worked in, and plus the gay bar across the street that he visited on after his work hours, where he would allegedly pick up most of his victims. So they sell tickets for that to this day. They make profit off of that. So anybody who's like, hey, you're talking about subjects that's just not the greatest subjects you can cover. Well, think about it this way. That's an actual tourist attraction. People pay money to go on. So there you go.
Yeah, it's a shame everybody hopped in so late. Especially Gore, because Gore would have had all kinds of facts.
The confession video that you can still see on YouTube with his, like I said, it's about 43, 46 minutes, something like that. You can definitely tell that you're not talking to like this really uneducated man that had no discipline, who just killed it like the most random selections. He was actually, I would definitely say he was a little disciplined. Maybe he went unprepared a little bit sometimes, and things got out of hand that he couldn't control in some circumstances. But I just have a hard time believing that at the end that he actually wrote a letter asking the police department, is there any way that you guys can trace a floppy disk? And then weeks later, he actually sent them a floppy disk with evidence on it, with photos of some horrible photos, and they traced it back to the church's computer that he was a part of, and that's how he was found out. I have a really hard time believing that he did that unexpected, not thinking that they could track that and find him out. I think he intentionally done that. I think he sat in the shadows for too long, and he wasn't getting the notoriety for the projects that he called him that he had done. And he wanted to, I think it was at that time in his life, he was like, you know what? I want what's due to me. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, Gore says, you act like I'm some kind of a maniac.
Keith, you're our kind of maniac, brother. That's for sure.
But yeah, guys.
I said, we all crazy just a little bit.
Oh yeah, we all are a different brand of crazy.
There you go.
If I'm not mistaken, Gore, remind me, where are you going tonight?
Where am I going tonight?
No, I was talking to Gore. What you got coming up
Oh,
though?
my bad, man.
What you got going on?
Man, I think I'm going to kick back and dig into that Kino box a little bit and watch some films with the missus tonight. She's off of work, so usually on her nights off, I try to do this to a minimum a little bit, and then me and her, we're night owls. We stayed up all night watching movies and stuff like that. And,
Right on,
raiding
man.
the fridge, and
Tom says he's looking forward to more of these.
Awesome, man. Awesome.
I was going to make this a 10-part, but there are just so many serial killers that you can hop on and talk about. This can go on for a while. So
Absolutely. And you don't even have to stick to like those big ones from going into from the 70s to the 80s era. Like even just the big five, man. There's so many more you can go off of. I mean,
I don't know. There's so many. Like I'm not.
in this book right here, brother. I mean, just this book alone, man. Like there's more than like 200 in this book right here. That's like you don't get here talk about so much. Like let's say Albert Fish. Albert Fish is another one that nobody really ever talks about. To me, he was like one of the most gruesome. He targeted little boys to do horrible things to his body for sexual pleasure. So he's definitely like one of those big monsters that I don't really hear a whole lot of people talk about.
Yeah, Gore's going to be doing his interview on his mini series tonight. He's
Nice.
starting with mid-level, and then Horror and Taj Saturday, and he's going to be doing the 70s and 80s stream at 5 on Saturday.
Man, look at him, man. He's got a busy schedule right there, man. He's got some stuff lined up, brother. I dig it, man.
Oh yeah, Albert Fish, good one, Zolly.
100%. That guy was a straight up monster. That's
Good one.
That's everybody's worst nightmare right there.
Yeah, we gotta do Fish.
Definitely. Tell you what, man, we'll do Gein 2 weeks from now, and then after that we'll throw in Albert Fish for 2 weeks after that right there. I do, man. I got a book of that right there.
Yeah. Let me go ahead and get you down for that one.
There you go.
And then, oh, come on, baby. I'm a disordered mess, man.
Hey, at least you take notes and you write down stuff, man. I think you're doing pretty good by my count, man.
Oh man, you should have seen the 3 pages of notes I took down on Carrie and on the Ginger Snaps when I did those. Like I didn't even get all my notes in, otherwise it would have been 2 hours long. It would have been as long as the movie if I would have kept it going.
You came prepared.
And I got extra notes for those in case I got to hop into somebody's stream or something and talk about it.
There you go, man. And come on, man. We're talking about Carrie and Ginger Snaps, man. Those are great movies, man.
Oh man, those are just straight up girl power movies right there.
Bangers all the way.
Straight up, bro. Like I'm gonna be busting out. Speaking of girl power movies, I'm gonna be doing Boys Don't Cry and Foxfire here soon.
Nice, man. Hey, I haven't heard anybody talk about Boys Don't Cry in a long time. That Hillary Swank movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. That was a blast when that thing first came out, man. I did not know what I was renting from the video store when I brought that thing home. I was like, whoa, like this is crazy. It's been a long time since I watched that, man. Maybe more time we'll go back and watch that. It's very dark, though. God, that movie's dark.
I wondered, does any actual studio own that where it would get claimed?
As far as you know what, man, I can't be for certain because I don't know if that's got the Lionsgate stamp on it or not. If it does, it's who knows, man. It could wind up being a 4K steelbook, exclusive because they're kind of profiting with that right now, especially with Hell or High Water and Cabin in the Woods. They're rolling those out. Who knows, man? I hope there's enough of a market projection on their part where they're like, hey, if we put this out in a 4K or we give it like a really good release, like we know that there's going to be people to scoop it up. I hope the projections are there for him because that movie deserves it 100%.
Right? I mean, if I'm not mistaken, I do believe Fox did it.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, we know the whole
Um,
thing with
I,
Fox with the old Disney. So,
yeah.
yeah, I would definitely
um,
say I think Disney's pretty much taken over the whole Fox thing at this point, right?
oh man, they taking over everything. They took over Lucasfilm and all. Like they took over all that, man. They're keeping going.
That's it, man. They're a powerhouse, man.
Yes, sir. All right, Gore, man. He says, take it easy. I got to prepare. See you next week. I will definitely be seeing you next week. Next week, guys, I'm going to be doing Jeffrey Dahmer with Gorephobe. So be prepared for that one. We're going to get pretty in deep with that one. That Gore is full of facts.
Here you go, brother. You gonna do it for the same time next Wednesday? You gonna stick them to 8 p.m.?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes. I'm going to take them to 8 p.m. I was going to switch them to 8:30 because that's when everybody started hopping in. But I'm a person. I'm kind of OCD like that. I like to stick to a time frame when I start doing something.
Gotcha. Yeah, man, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. Um, that too, man. You keeping it on the Wednesday path too, man. That's awesome. You selected, one day of the week to kind of keep crunching them and everything and keep that pattern going. That's awesome because that's how everybody gets familiar with something, with a series especially. So
Yeah, me and Gore do the top tens on Tuesdays. We do wrestling Saturdays, and in between there, I'm going to drop a random review like I was doing before. And then on Wednesdays, I'm going to be doing this. It's just something I thought I'd start doing. I love serial killers, and nobody in our community does that. And
hey,
I don't think serial killers get enough light on the tube.
here's just some food for thought, man, and just sleep on it and tell me what you think about it. But maybe we could do something with like an idea where all three of us, as we kind of pump out the Serial Killer Wednesday episodes, let's
I thought about
also
that.
let's take in perspective that we could also throw in maybe a show where we actually talk about the serial killer inspired films that we've also got. That'd be pretty cool, man. Because
I like that.
man, because Gore, man, I know damn well he's done probably seen every movie that was ever based on a serial killer for sure.
I'm sure Young just bought all of them too. I've seen his collection. It's ridiculous.
There you go, man. See, we all got the same similar taste and everything, man. That'd be nothing, man. We could all just come to the table and just riff off of one another, man, and bounce off each other. You know what I mean? Just have a fun time doing it.
Man, he has some collector stuff that he hasn't even shown anybody yet, and it's just crazy.
Got that suspense going out, brother. It's like, now, what's he got?
Well, I fortunately know what he's got. Son and all, I know what Gore's got, but
There you go.
I'm telling you, he's got some bangers in there, bro.
Yeah, man. Especially when it comes to the movies that we've got. Because I mean, we can take it back as far as you want to. Because Jesus Christ, man. I mean, we can go all the way back to Texas Chainsaw, which Ed Gein, of course, was the inspiration for Leatherface, Norman Bates. But we also got those films, like I said, like Kane Hodder playing, Ed Gein. We got a Summer of Sam movie as well, which I thought was really
Oh yeah,
good. A lot of people don't talk about it anymore.
oh yeah, that's a good movie, and it's really hard to get a hold of.
It is.
On the case of the Hillside Stranglers.
There you go, man. Exactly, man. Shit, man. I just have it on top of my head. We even got the mainstream stuff too, like the Black Dahlia,
Oh yeah, that's a real good one too.
Zodiac. I mean, come on, man. That list could go on and on forever. Even if we
Yeah.
just wanted to go back and forth between mainstream and non-mainstream, like big Hollywood production films, there's an endless list on both sides.
Oh yeah, man, they're just ridiculous. Just countless movies. Like Candyman was based off of a real serial killer as well.
I was having a conversation not too long ago because everybody's been picking up the Candyman 3 from Vestron Video, and everybody's buying it because it's like, well, I got to have all the Vestrons, but I hear this movie is absolute shit, and I'm like, come on, man, like, stop taking everybody's word for it. Like, watch it yourself. Like, watch it, then see what you think about it. But a lot of people, man,
I'm not the biggest fan of it. I really don't like any of them but the first one,
I
honestly.
got you.
Like it
That's
drops
fair.
off the first one. But I'm not going to sit and rant on them for the people that do like them.
Yeah, but I mean, come on, man. Think about it this way too. How are you gonna sit there and already put it on yourself that, well, I'm probably gonna hate this movie just because everybody else hates it. Man, watch it yourself first.
Yeah. I don't take anybody's word for any movie. Like if I'm going to watch a movie, I don't read reviews on it. I might watch one or two trailers just to see, hey, what's this movie about? If I feel like the trailer is telling me too much, I'll click off of the trailer and just watch the movie. Because
Which
a
is
lot of
every trailer now. Every trailer now gives you everything in 2 minutes.
oh my god, dude, the trailers now last like 5 minutes long, and they give you the whole. They spoil every single good scene of the movie. They spoil the storyline of the movie, and some of the trailers I've seen have actually spoiled the endings to movies. Like a lot of the new movies coming out now are spoiling the endings in their trailers.
Yep.
It's like, what's the point in having a trailer? I might as well just watch the trailer. I know what the movie's about now.
Yep. I kind of regret watching the trailer for X so many times. I do, but I will tell you, even though I've actually went to the theater and watched that movie after watching the trailer probably 6 or 7 times because I was so excited for it. I still loved it, man. I was just like, God, I can't wait for this thing to come out physical media. You get a chance to watch X, man. Give it a go, man. You're gonna love it. That movie is gritty. It is great, man.
Do you know where it might be streaming?
It just I think I saw an announcement today that they had actually put up like the Blu-ray pre-order because of course they're gonna hurry up and get it out on physical media so they can keep making that revenue off of it.
Of course.
But then my buddy told me, he was like, hey, I don't know if you pre-ordered that Blu-ray yet, but a month later after the Blu-ray comes out, they're putting out a 4K UHD, and it's like, Jesus, why don't they put them out at the same time? That makes no sense. But I'd probably say, man, in about a month, you'll probably get your hands on a physical copy. And as far as the digital world, we always get that a couple weeks early. So don't be surprised if you see that thing on Vudu or Amazon Prime or something like that, where you can grab it for like, 15, $20 or something like that to watch it digitally. But just hold on to physical, man. Hell of the digital world.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, the only physical movies I own are the little voodoo codes that come into my Blu-rays once in a while.
Yeah,
I don't
me
buy
too.
anything off of Amazon or anything like that.
Gotcha.
Because one, it doesn't look as good. The Atmos during streaming is fake.
Yep.
It's fake Atmos. It's fake Dolby Vision. And it's fake 4K. 4K is actually 1080p. 1080p is actually 720. Basically.
Yeah, man. It's just one of those things, though, man, where everybody's ready to sacrifice a lot for the sake of convenience. And you can admit, man, like, even though that's not part of our world, digital streaming is very convenient for a lot of people. So
It is very convenient. Instead of getting up, grabbing the disc off the rack, you just click a couple buttons and see what you want to see.
Absolutely. But in most cases, man, a lot of people, man, like, I'm a big special features whore. We all know with the digital copy, most of the time, there ain't no special features that's going to come with that. Not unless it's like Star Wars or something like that, where they got it all on the side of the menu to click on. But
Oh yeah, it's got to be a really mainstream movie to get special features on digital, like a Titanic or something like that.
Exactly, man. But it's just the way the world works, man. We're all right here in this weird phase of evolving with digital media. It's kind of funny right now, man. When I kind of take a look at it, we're seeing all these production studios starting up their own streaming service, and they're all pulling their movies out of Netflix. So it's like, well, what the hell is Netflix going to do now? Like, they have their exclusive content, and that's about it for them. And they keep raising the price every month. So
yeah, it just went up again. It's like 16 or something now.
Yeah, man. I just don't see Netflix. They're huge, man, and they got a lot of money. They can make some great stuff, and they do have great stuff. I just don't. I think it's just going to be very hard for them to keep that momentum going with all these companies being like Paramount Plus, for one, being like, no, we're going to take all of our movies back because we have our own streaming service now. Mm-hmm. Or like HBO. You get on the HBO app, and it's like, man,
they got everything on there.
it's like Disney Plus, man. There's just so much. There's more content on there that you'll never be able to watch half of it.
In my opinion, the only 4 streaming services you really need are Prime, Hulu, Disney, and then possibly Paramount. Like those are basically the 4 you need.
Of You know what, man, and I can't deny any of those, man. But in my heart, man, I gotta say, when it comes to my household, Shudder comes number one, no matter what. I always represent.
You can get that on Prime.
You don't get what?
I mean, you can get Shudder on Prime too.
Oh yeah, you just don't. Unfortunately, you don't get the live channels for that in some aspect. Like whenever they show like the live airings of Joe Bob Briggs and stuff like that. That's my biggest thing with Shudder.
They don't.
I'll always support Shudder and have their service as long as they keep Joe Bob Briggs, The Last Drive-In on. The day they remove that from that service and they don't give him the green light for another episode, I'll be long gone.
Man, I watched some of Joe Bob's classic episodes from when he first started doing them, and those are just masterpiece, man.
Yeah, man. Unfortunately, man, a lot of people like myself, man, I stumbled on Joe Bob Briggs, back in the day, of course, with TNT's Monster Vision. And I remember thinking to myself even back then, I was like, man, all the movies he's showing is edited. Now, he was talking trash, too, about, the network censoring some of the best scenes in the movie while he was doing his breakdown and his kill counts and all that good stuff for the drive-in totals and everything. But even back in the day, man, I was like, I like the guy. I hate watching these movies that's edited when I can go to the video store and get these out of the bin for like $1 or $2 for a rental night, like every Friday the 13th film, and watch it the way it should be. So seeing him now on Shudder, which is owned by AMC, like they actually get to show the full cuts of some of these movies, and they're actually using some of the boutique label scans. I've seen that they used Vinegar Syndrome multiple times. They've used Arrow Video, I believe, and stuff like that. So I love the fact that he's still.
Yeah, he did.
He's kicking.
Yeah. Yeah, I watched. My dad showed me Humongous when I was like 9, and I just went back and rewatched it not too long ago and was like, "Oh man, I ought to do a review on that one." Like nobody talks about Humongous. It's like one of those. It used to be lesser known movies. It's a little more known now.
It's been so long since I've seen that movie too, man. I haven't even thought about that movie in years until you just brought that up. Sometimes right there, man. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, all of a sudden the nostalgia kicks.
Go down memory lane really fast, and you're like, Jesus Christ. I can remember where I was at the first time, like I even saw some of these movies we talked about. I'm like, wow, if I could just go back and relive that moment one more time for the first time.
I'm only 24 going on 25 years old, and there are some moments I wish I could go back to as well to either change or relive now. So I can about imagine what I'm going to do in like my late 30s to like mid 40s to 50s and on as time goes on, wanting to come back to certain moments.
Yep, absolutely, man. Absolutely.
But yeah, man, thank you for coming on and everything, man. I appreciate you coming on for the first stream on Drake's channel.
Had a blast, man. Like I said, man, thank you so much, man, for throwing out that invite last night, man. As soon as I saw your message and I read it, man, I was like, shit, man, I'm there. I don't care what time he's going on. I don't give a damn. I'm on there.
All right, guys, this has been Serial Killer Wednesdays with Drake Kane and Johnny's Boutique Podcast. You guys have a sweet night and sleep sweet.
Good night, everybody.